I am is improv. And right, see, we've started the broadcast right now, but see, the beauty is I'll still snap this right out into in GarageBand. Nobody will ever know.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry about this. And I go, John, edit here. Hello, and welcome to the Code Campus podcast. I am John Samuelson up in Portland, Oregon. I'm an innovation strategist for the Beaverton School District. And with me today is my partner down in Southern California.
That would be me, Raj Sidhu, based in LA. I'm the founder of Code Campus and generally just thinking about how to use computer science in elementary and middle school classrooms. And I guess, John, we are kicking off the Code Campus podcast to start figuring out just things that educators are wrestling with when considering bringing coding into their classrooms, or especially, I think specifically, with the newest release of Scratch 3, how to start grappling with some of these changes and yeah. Does that sound about right?
I think that sounds right, because I mean, I've been waiting so long for Scratch 3. Do you know that when I was at the ISTE conference in San Antonio, and I should get a little sound effect gong for my plugs there, right there for the. But when I was at ISTE and I followed Mitch Resnick around from Scratch like a little puppy dog to all of his sessions, he promised me that it would be ready about a year earlier than it really was. So I've been waiting, and then when I heard the January 2nd, I was like, okay, now I can start actually helping teachers. So I think we're starting this podcast to be a help to teachers, and Scratch 3, from what I've done so far, I'd heard some things that were like, oh, we're having trouble with this. I've been using it, Raj, and I love it. I like it a lot better than regular old Scratch.
You know, I'm a product guy, and I'm a fool for nice, colorful, flashy design. And I gotta say, Scratch 3 looks gorgeous. The new sprites, the new backdrops, everything is just so beautifully illustrated. And I know that I'm not necessarily the target market for Scratch 3 because, you know, Scratch 3 is meant to teach kids how to code. And so this is really more so about, well, is that really improving the experience for kids? And did the transition away from Scratch 2's user interface to Scratch 3's user interface, has that really, from like a data-driven perspective, has that made it easier for kids to learn how to code? And I think that there's always going to be a learning curve, and an initial period of kind of resentment when a well-loved platform gives itself a haircut. People get used to the way things look, used to the places that they found certain functionality in, and I get that, and I'm going through the same thing with Scratch 3 myself. But first blush, it's a beautiful app to look at.
It's nice. I like it. And, you know, I think the recording features are nice too. And I can't wait to play with, and we'll talk about some of these things on upcoming episodes. I use the Makey Makey extension, and I have not even tried the Microbit extension, which I'm totally psyched for.
Definitely.
But the one that I got, and we have already decided that we are not self-promoters on this podcast, but in Raj's new book, which is about Scratch 3, you know what I loved was the Google Translate project that you put in there. It's so cool. I show that one to everybody, and they're like, oh my goodness, you can input into a Scratch program, and then it does this cool graphic, and it translates it to French or Spanish.
I've got a good story about that where, so I agree. I thought that was a fun project too. And I love that Scratch actually included that kind of extension just into core Scratch. Because, you know, the idea of being able as a kid to build your own version of, say, Google Translate or some sort of text to speech app, that's, you know, it's like having, you know, Friday in your ear or something. That seems really cool. And building the app, it's super simple to make, and it's fun to just show around to people. But one of the first reviews that we got on the book from an actual kid, because we have some reviews on there from teachers and parents and older brothers and stuff. But the first review we got from a kid, I'll read you verbatim.
Oh, okay. This sounds good. I thought it was awesome. But then again, I'm an old guy.
So this is from a young gentleman named Clinton. Scratch is the best coding language ever made. Google Translate? Well, that's kind of weird. I'm doing Scratch part of the day in school. 4 stars. So, not quite sure what to make of that, but I get the sense that Clinton is enjoying himself in Scratch 3 regardless.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff to dig into in Scratch 3, and I think they've really just gotten started. I think that what they've done is set up a framework to add a bunch of really cool extensions, just like Google Translate, and just like the microbit stuff, and the sort of facelift to the Lego WeDo stuff. And I'm pretty excited for the next couple of years of where they're going to take this.
I'm excited too, and I think around my school district, there's a lot of teachers that are excited. So when we think of this podcast right now, we're just going to say right now that we have introduced ourselves, and we'll introduce ourselves every time, but we are not going to. We just want people, we want students to get started coding. And since Raj knows so much, and I try to be the person on the ground trying to help teachers do this, we really want to make this podcast.
John's being humble.
People. but we want we want kids to start to get to Scratch and start coding and doing some really amazing creative things. And I think that Scratch allows that flexibility and creativity, and that people and students really crave. They crave the ability to animate. They love this stuff. I've seen it happen. So that's what we want. We want to give you some steps. We're going to talk about some cool things that you can do with it, and whatever else we think of. You think of anything else, Raj, that we can do on this upcoming roadmap for what our podcast could be?
I mean, we hear from teachers all the time, especially since Scratch 3 started coming out, issues that they might be having getting adjusted to it, functionality that was there that's no longer there. Kind of more, geeky insider stuff into Scratch, and updates that might be coming, or kind of functionality changes that are kind of buried in there that the power users might want to know about, and everything in between. So whether it's trying to dig into how to get past some change that's been made to between Scratch 2 and Scratch 3, or coming up with a lesson that is helping you integrate area and perimeter into your 3rd grade coding project. I think we can talk about it all and have a blast doing it.
I think we should too. And we're really kind of, I mean, I don't want to speak, I'll speak for myself. I'm kind of a nerd for Scratch and the coding. I'm a big geek for it. I like it a lot. And right, I think it's a cool thing if you're a teacher and you can do like, hey, what's this cool project that we can do to kind of wrap up it? It can be a little intimidating because you think, oh, it's coding and I don't know coding. You'll be amazed at how little the adult has to know about coding, but if you can set it up for students and set them with some ideas, that they'll just go with it, and then you can learn alongside with them. I think that's the biggest thing for teachers. I think that it's learning. I love learning alongside with my students. I don't have to know everything about everything that I'm teaching, and I don't. There's so much that I don't know. You couldn't even begin to fill the Grand Canyon with it, right?
So, as you said that you can only speak for yourself about being a geek about Scratch stuff. I literally pushed my glasses up the bridge of my nose. So,
so we're there.
I guess that's what we're in for.
That's what we're in for. So, right, we're going to really try and get this out there. If you haven't visited, Code Campus is also the website, and you can take a visit over there. But we're just going to talk Scratch and whatever else comes in between. We might have some guests on there. Raj, you know any good teachers that might be willing to come on a podcast and talk a little coding and creative?
Yeah, I know a bunch. I don't know if I'll call them out and podcast shame them right now in case they never end up actually getting on here. But yeah, yes. I'm sure that tons of teachers from our community and technologists who are actually creating this stuff, working on platforms like Scratch, working on platforms like Makey Makey, it'll be exciting to just see how this shapes up and what kind of discussions we can have around just simplifying the use of Scratch and making it relevant to what we're doing in the classroom.
Right. And I think that, creativity is key. Collaboration, work pair coding is key. We can talk about all those different things. Well, Raj, one time on my old podcast, we did have Natalie Rusk on there. We interviewed her from.
Oh, no way.
We should maybe you know what, and we'll try for this. Maybe we can shoot for the stars and get like Mitch Resnick on here. I think we could maybe do it sometime, but our mission is we love coding, we love creativity, we love watching kids collaborate and work together, and that we think that's great for education, and that's our focus for this podcast. So we hope that you'll listen to some upcoming episodes. We're calling this episode 0, and we're happy. I'm so happy that you're agreed to do this with me, Raj, because you're so good with this stuff. You're so good with this stuff. I love the stuff you're doing.
You're giving me way too much credit, John. This is all you. This is your experience, John. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you know how much John has contributed to this community and to just ed tech in general. So it's 100% my honor.
Okay, that's great. I can't wait. I can't wait to start it. We'll wait. We'll go. We're going to shoot for 2 episodes a month. So hopefully we'll see you back here. And thank you, Raj, for your time. And we'll catch you next time for the first episode of the Code Campus podcast.